Hi, my name's Matt Hoban. I'm going to be your module mentor for Module 2, which is all about program writing. Today's workshop, 2A, we're going to be covering identifying clients' fitness requirements and developing program plans. Look, the most common needs of my clients at the moment is it's attention to detail. So whatever their goals are, I have to deliver above and beyond their expectations. Examples of that would be like probably one of the biggest one is follow-up. Like if I train a client on a Monday, for example, I will definitely call that or text that client on a Sunday to confirm the session, see how their week's been, lock their session in, confirm it. Obviously I see them the very next day, and then the day after that session I'm very religious with touching base with them again to see how they feel after the session, see how they enjoyed the session, and just give them any feedback or homework. That is the glue that actually holds my business together, is that touching base and staying in contact with clients. Like I said, if I train them on a Monday, I can't just wait till the following Monday to get in touch with them again. I'll probably touch base with that particular client at least twice more in the week. And that is definitely the glue that holds my business together. The needs of the average client is if they ask you to do something, e.g., ask you a question about a recipe or a particular training style or a diet style, you can't leave it days and days on end before you get back to them. You probably give yourself 24 hours, but they really do want that advice. We live in an age where everything is on tap. So if you're waiting days and days to get back to a client, the client will slip through the cracks. I think the biggest expectation of clients is for you to be present in the session wholly and solely with them, not looking around, not glancing around, not waving at other people, certainly not on your phone, to actually give them the attention to detail. At the end of the day, personal training is probably, it's a luxury item for a lot of people. So if you're not willing to give 100% of yourself to every session you do, chances are the client will definitely slip through the cracks. I'd say that's the biggest expectation of the client, is to actually be there for them. Be there for them outside the session as well, always available for a text or a phone call, because they inevitably will have a lot of questions. It's giving of yourself back to them. Do clients expect results? Look, yes, they do, but surprisingly there's quite a lot that don't. Personal training for some people is an escape. It's an escape from potentially a relationship, it's an escape from their children, it's something that they can do for themselves. So that to them is quite rewarding. It might not be losing 10 kilos or 20 kilos, but I'd say that's an 80-20 rule. 80% will want results, 20 are very happy just to come, but even for that 20%, you've still got to give 100% of yourself. Clients do expect a level of individualised programming. It's personal training. Like if you're just running generic session after session after session, it's going to show. And clients have different needs. They might have bad knees, bad necks, bad backs, weak cores, mum's coming back from babies. So yeah, you do have to tailor most sessions for the individual, and that's where the back end of the business is. So you got the front end when you're on the gym floor with the client, but the back end is all your programming, and it can be time consuming, but it's well worth it. The biggest barriers with clients is it's self-discipline. You might think initially it's financial. If you're providing a really good service, have great rapport with your clients, it's very rarely a financial thing. It's the client's own self-discipline, whether that's with food or waking up early or training when their kids are asleep. They're major barriers with a lot of clients. To overcome those barriers, you've got to be quite understanding. Like if a child is vomiting at 4 a.m. and you've got a 5 a.m. session, it's the nature of the beast that client's probably going to cancel. But if you can be understanding, give them a few options for later in the week to try and rebook, or even say, look, let's cancel this week, and how about we try and do 2 sessions next week? I find there's always a way around those type of barriers. But be understanding and be empathetic. Improving someone's body composition, initially, for my business, it starts with a pinch test with the calipers. I'm a bit old school in that way. I still think it's a great way to find out where someone's at. I use a sum of 4 sites. Obviously, you guys know there's 9 sites. I choose 4. And each one of those 4 sites actually has a meaning. It gives me feedback to understand where that client's at and how I can program moving forward. Depending on what the outcome of that pinch test was, the program could be anything from, a weights-based program, metabolic circuit program, could be quite a big core program, and also looking at their nutrition as well as probably first and foremost prior to the program being written. I think regardless of what a client's goals are and what their body composition goals are, 7 days in a week, surely you can be training 3 days. That's what I say to my clients. Anything less than 3, you're going to make life quite hard for yourself. That doesn't mean 3 with me. It might mean 1 with me, 2 by yourself. But I think a minimum of 3 per week to really get some traction. Look, I think the best exercises to prescribe someone is to teach them the basic movement patterns. Everyone needs to know how to squat, bend, straighten, twist, push, pull, lunge. They're base movements. If we can't get those right, all the other things in the gym, you're setting the client up for potential injury. Look, if a client came to me and asking for an improvement in their cardiovascular endurance, quite often I actually start with an anaerobic feel just to get an understanding of where their conditioning is with no oxygen in their body. Quite often you'll find when someone's anaerobically fit, it really translates into their aerobic fitness or their cardiovascular system. So yeah, I do like to start with HIIT, high intensity interval training. So it could be 30 seconds on a rower as fast as possible with a 30-second break. We might do that 5 times. Could be some short, sharp sprints on a treadmill, like little 200-meter sprints with a 20-second break. Could be anything as simple as 100 metres on a cross trainer with a 30-second break. It's just on, off, and by on I mean 100% of effort followed by a short rest. That's a classic example of anaerobic training. Someone new to the gym, to do that type of training, I'd probably suggest you're looking at doing it 3 times a week, e.g. Monday, have a rest day Tuesday, do it Wednesday, rest day Thursday, do it again Friday. For a client with a goal of muscular strength, obviously phase 1 is getting the technique right for any given movement that I'd prescribe. Once the technique is understood, then it's a matter of getting the client to string the movements together for a certain set of reps, sets, and most importantly, tempos and rests. They're the things that quite often go missing. It's actually getting the client to understand the weights movement and the tempo they should be lifting those weights with, and then the rest break between sets. A good example of that would be a client that I've taught how to do some barbell back squats, and we might be doing a set of 12 reps at a tempo of 2-1. So think down for 2 seconds, no pause, up for 1 second, no pause. We do that for 12 reps. I might give them a 30-second break before we go into a barbell bench press. Again for 12 reps, 2 seconds down, no pause, 1 second up, no pause. And then at the end of that set, I'll prescribe, for example, 60 seconds rest. That being 1 set, and we might do 3 or 4 sets. How many exercises would I prescribe? I'd probably look at a timing thing. I think after about 45 minutes, 40 to 45 minutes, the client is going to start waning strength and actual interest levels goes down. So you're probably looking sort of anywhere between 8 to 12 exercises strung together for a good weights program. The standard rep ranges for a strength program would sort of be anywhere from 4 to 6, 4 to 8 reps. And sets, you're probably looking at about minimum 3 sets, maximum 5 sets. The improvement that I'd see from a client over a 10-week program is enormous. It's enormous. The strength gains, the actual conditioning that they show, and the actual physique changes are enormous. Pending that they follow your instructions, sometimes they don't on the weekends and whatnot, but the average person, when they're paying money, is more than happy to follow instruction. And in a 10-week program, you're going to see some pretty significant results. The way I like to design programs are usually based around some real key movements, like things like deadlifting, squatting, chin-ups, some type of bench press or dumbbell press, and a military press, some type of overhead, even if it's a dumbbell press. But they are absolute key movements in all of my programs. And I do like supersets. I like the hormonal response we get from supersets. I think, you know, the muscle building potential, tearing the fibres, the human growth hormone release, these things are essential in a strength program. So I do like supersets, yeah. So if I was prescribing a client a program with muscular endurance, we're looking at rep ranges probably from 12 to 15, even 12 to 20 on the higher scale. Exercise selection doesn't need to change whatsoever, as long as the client can actually hold their technique under a bit of fatigue. And rest breaks, I usually try and shorten the rest breaks, which means obviously you're going to lift a lighter weight than in a strength program, but just to keep that endurance in the actual muscle and the conditioning in the heart and lungs, definitely the exercises don't change, but the rest times and the weights do change. People do muscular endurance programs for so many reasons. It could be for a particular sport, particular event. Could just be to get leaner for summer. The duration of a muscular endurance program would probably be 6 to 8 weeks, 8 weeks being a maximum. I'd still expect my clients to train 3 days a week as an absolute bare minimum, probably 5 on the high end, but just being realistic, because they probably won't do more than that, but 3 minimum, 5 maximum, and sort of 6 to 8 weeks the duration. So the improvements that I gauge by are, you know, I keep a record of all my clients' weights, what they've lifted when they started, you know, each session, each week. I get them to text me or email me where they're up to, so we can actually sit down at the end of the program or during the program and look at the feedback, look at the numbers. But yeah, usually you'll find that someone following the program will definitely get major improvements. But then, you know, obviously factors that come into the things, you know, does the client have a child and they've been up all night with lack of sleep? There's so many factors that come into a client's results, but, you know, all pending things go well, they'll definitely get results. So improving flexibility is, you know, it's a very common thing. A lot of people, particularly corporates and office workers, even mums, highly tight. You know, and obviously people are tight in all different places, from their backs to their hamstrings to their necks. So we look at where they are tight, prescribe the necessary stretches, and like a strength program or any type of cardio program, I expect them to do those type of stretches, if not daily, at least 3 times a week. I'm a big believer in holding a stretch for roughly 30 seconds. Sometimes a client's not going to have the attention span to count to 30 seconds, so quite often I'll use a breathing technique where I'll just say, look, let's call that 1 rep. Let's do 5 reps during the stretch. I do like a combination of static stretches and passive stretches. You know, it depends on the type of need, but there's definitely a place for both. Dynamic stretching, and I don't really like stretching prior to warming up. I like to actually do the stretches with my clients at the end of a session when their muscles are warm. As a trainer, I think it's always handy to be a bit of a jack of all trades, but it's hard to be a master of all of them. So if you know the basics for all the things mentioned, you're going to benefit. But I do believe in time, and it's only in time when you actually understand who you are as a trainer, that you can branch off and become a bit more of a specialist in certain areas. So try and be a jack of all trades, but definitely in time, as you get to know yourself as a trainer, work with your strengths.